What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. It's good to finally be back in front of you guys talking about some sports news, what's been going on. And what a better way to jump back into it than with what's been going on the last couple of games to finish off the NBA season. It's been absolutely incredible. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you haven't, you got to go check it out. But I'm just going to recap some of the things that have gone on the last two days of basketball now that the season is officially over and playoffs are about to get underway. So just going to recap a little bit about what happened in the last two days of basketball. So let's get right into it. So a couple of nights ago was arguably, in my opinion, one of the craziest days, one of the craziest nights in basketball for this entire season. There's so much was going on, both on the court, off the court, all kinds of stuff. You had, obviously, Dwayne Wade's final regular season home game, Dirk Nowitzki's final regular season home game as well, which people weren't sure if it was going to be, but after the game he announced he would be retiring. So you had that. You had Paul George hitting a game-winning three-pointer against Houston, which had some playoff seeding implications on the line. Back to that Mavericks game with Dirk Nowitzki, you had Jamal Crawford, 51 points on the other side of the ball. And then you had the craziest news out of all of that, which I think nobody saw coming, was Magic Johnson stepping down as president for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think that came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody saw that one coming. So obviously one of the craziest days in NBA for this entire season, in my opinion. There's so much was going on, so many things were happening, and we're just going to talk a little bit about what happened during that day, and then last night, the official last night, the last couple of games were going on before the final playoff seeding was set. So as you can see, repping my Heat t-shirt, even though the season's over, always got to represent. You had, like I said, D Wade's final regular season home game, as well as Dirk Nowitzki's. So, and both of those guys went out with a bang, 30 points apiece in their respective final home games of the season. It was definitely fun to watch. It was exciting. It was emotional. It was tough, being that I grew up on D Wade. But I think it was awesome. It was a great way to end the regular season, on the home court, going out with a bang, going out, the way everybody remembers you and everybody knows you as a 30-point guy that can hit all kinds of shots, make everything happen for the guys around him, and that's pretty much what he did. So that was pretty cool to see. That was exciting. Definitely a fun game to watch, as well as all the other stuff that was going on. You had, like I said, you had Paul George hitting a game winner against Houston, which I thought was really incredible because Russell Westbrook took that ball up the court, and instead of jacking up a three on his own, he passed it off to arguably the MVP of that OKC team in Paul George, and gave him the opportunity to make the shot, and George hit the shot. And so I think that was pretty cool to see Westbrook kind of share the ball, pass the ball off to a guy that's been making a lot more shots, been more productive, been, I think, the MVP of that team, like I said. So I think that should be fun to watch them in the playoffs and see what they're able to do. Then you had the biggest surprise of them all, the Magic Johnson resigning as the president of basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe I heard some reports and some stories that Johnson was kind of stressed out with everything that was going on. He wasn't too happy with the constant grind, I guess, the constant everything going on with what goes into building a team and keeping a team intact. He was very stressed out with that whole behind the scenes aspect, something he hadn't done before in the basketball world, as well as getting rid of guys, trading guys, cutting people, firing people. Wasn't something he was happy with, wasn't something he necessarily liked doing. So from what I heard, those are some of the reasons why he stepped down. Not 100% sure. Haven't gotten the full picture, haven't fully heard and understood everything that went down. So, keep an eye on that and see what happens. See, if he's, if he wants to, hop back onto another organization and try his luck out somewhere else, or if he's just done being, behind the scenes of a basketball team and just wants to, continue doing whatever, something else that suits him a little better, something else that's less stressful for him. Then we had the final day of the NBA season, the last of the games to be played, and one game caught my eye, one game had me glued to the television. Dwyane Wade's final NBA game in Brooklyn against the Nets. And I think with everything that happened the night before in Miami in his final regular season home game, the team just looked exhausted. They looked tired. They looked like they wanted to send him out with a win, send him out on a positive note, but I think they used up so much energy the night before in Miami trying to get him his final home win that they were just shot, playing in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn was obviously playing for something. If they had won, they ended up winning that game, but if Brooklyn were to have won that game, then they would be in the 6th seed. So they tried. They were, obviously playing for something, so they had a reason to play. Miami was already eliminated from the playoffs, so they didn't really have anything to play for other than Dwyane Wade, and I think the night before took a lot out of them. So Brooklyn ended up taking that game, but Dwyane Wade finished his career, the last game of the season, on the road, which felt like he was at a home game. The amount of Miami Heat fans were there, or at least Dwyane Wade fans that were there. But he finished that game with a triple-double, 25 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, which to me is incredible. He gets his 5th triple-double of his career and the first one since 2011, which to me is incredible that he's able to do that on his final game, which, as they had him mic'd up, and all he was saying while he was mic'd up was, "I want a triple-double," which is incredible because he doesn't want to, put up 40, 50 points. He doesn't want to go crazy. He wants to help out other guys. He wants to play with the other guys. He wanted to play with Udonis Haslem, a guy that he's, very good friends with and considers like a brother. He wanted to play with him on the court. He, as Miami started to make a little bit of a comeback early in the 4th quarter, they kept all the young guys out there. They kept all the guys out there that haven't really seen a lot of action, just to give them a chance to get some action, just to give them, some time to play with Dwyane Wade, which to me was pretty cool to see that, winning the game wasn't as important to them as giving those young guys a chance to play with Dwyane and to learn a little bit from him and watch him while they're on the court with him. Which to me, I think speaks to, why Dwyane Wade got the reception that he did all year long, on the road and at home. He's a very well-respected guy, both on and off the court. And, sad to see him go, but, excited to see what he's got coming for him in the coming years, in the future. Anyways, the NBA playoffs is right around the corner. Seeding is done. We got all 1st through 8th seed. Everybody's locked in. Start with the Eastern Conference. Just round up number 1 through number 8. Who's playing who? What to look forward to. We got Milwaukee versus Detroit in the 1 versus 8 matchup. We have Toronto as the number 2 versus Orlando in number 7. The 76ers against the Brooklyn Nets in the 3 versus the 6. And we have Boston versus Indiana in the 4 versus the 5. I'm most looking forward to, I think, that Philadelphia versus Brooklyn matchup. Brooklyn has played very well against Philadelphia this year. I believe they're averaging like 120 points per game in the regular season when they played them. And Joel Embiid as well might not even play this entire first series. So that's something that I'm looking forward to watching how that series plays out, to see, a young Brooklyn team who's eager to prove to everybody, they can make a push in the playoffs versus a Sixers team that people think and expect to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think that'll be exciting to watch, being that, like I said, Joel Embiid will be, possibly will be sitting out that whole first series. And also, as the Brooklyn Nets have been playing pretty good against them in the regular season. So that's an exciting thing to watch. In the Western Conference, we obviously have Golden State as the number 1 seed. They're going to be playing the Los Angeles Clippers. Then we have Denver Nuggets against the San Antonio Spurs. Then we have the Portland Trail Blazers against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 3 versus 6. And at 4 versus 5, we have Houston versus the Utah Jazz. And now in this series, in the Western Conference, one matchup I'm looking forward to is Portland versus OKC, because I would love to see what Russell Westbrook and Paul George and the rest of that team are able to accomplish, are able to do coming out of the playoffs. I think they have high expectations for themselves, and I'm excited to see what Paul George is able to continue bringing to the table this season, playing at an MVP level, and as well as Russell Westbrook playing, doing Russell Westbrook type things. I'm excited to see what that team is able to do, not only in that series, but possibly, into the next series and beyond. Thanks, guys, for tuning in for my little, end of NBA recap of the last couple of games and build up into the postseason. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, comment down below. Let me know, your playoff takes, who you're rooting for, what you're interested in seeing, and see you guys at the next video. Go Heat! Peace.